Hi, I'm Katie Jennings, and I'm here at the weed management stop at the field day for the North Carolina sweet potato growers. And today we're going to be talking about, or showing, demonstrating some alternative weed management strategies, some tools that growers might be able to use in the future. We have 3 different pieces of equipment here that we'll be showing you today, and one of those is the John Deere See and Spray that's being tested by university researchers. And then we have 2 commercially available weed implements, and that includes the carbon robotic laser weeder and also the weed zapper. If you have any weed management questions, you can either contact your local county extension agent, or you can feel free to call me or email me, or if you have any weeds that you'd like to have identified, you can send those to the clinic at NC State, and we'll be happy to help you.
My name's Colton Blankenship. I'm a PhD student working with Dr. Katie Jennings, and today I'm going to be talking about the weed zapper and some of my projects that we're doing to kind of look at this alternative weed control technique. So the weed zapper is PTO-driven attachment to a tractor that runs a generator and a step-up transformer that then powers this copper bar, which is then used to electrocute weeds while maintaining good crop safety. The main way it works is you can adjust the height of the bar and make sure that you're not coming into contact with the crop canopy, but you are coming into contact with the weeds, right? So sweet potato is a crop that has very good potential for use with this machine because sweet potatoes naturally have a low canopy compared to many crops. And most of the weeds that we have in sweet potato are relatively tall. So you can get a good height differential and make good contact with the weeds while avoiding contact with the sweet potato. So the weed zapper has a lot of potential because it has the ability to maybe save you some money on hand weeding. You don't have to send as many passes through, and in organic systems it provides a useful method of control where you might lack others like herbicides. So one of my studies is looking at the frequency and timing of use of the weed zapper, comparing that to efficacy and yield, and trying to determine what's the most economical and best way to use the weed zapper throughout the season for weed control. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of that data with everyone as we get finished with those studies and present that.
I'm pleased to talk to you about carbon robotics and its laser weeder. It is a very unique piece of equipment, and it's getting the attention of farmers all over the world. The main thing about the carbon robotics laser weeder is that it's changing the mindset of weeding. We don't want to weed when the weeds are bigger, when they've taken moisture and nutrients away from the crop. We want to weed as soon as that weed comes out of the ground, and we can hit that meristem and we can kill that weed, and we can do that very efficiently. Through AI technology and through recognizing the difference between the crop and different types of weeds, we can actually shoot that meristem at a very high percentage, in the high 90s percentage, and be very accurate in doing so. With this demo, what I've done to help show people that come out and look, right here in this area, I have turned off a laser so you can see the actual weeds that are coming up. You know, you stand up and you see it from 5-6 feet away, you don't see how dense those weeds are. Within 1 square foot, I counted on our Predict camera here that there's 112 weeds per square foot. And then if you come over here, you see all of these black dots where the laser has shot, and those are all the weeds that we've killed. As a farmer and growing up on a farm, we always knew that the first flush of weeds is the most important to control. Why is that? Because that first flush of weeds over that annual growth of weeds for that crop, the annual growth, that first flush is about 60% of the weeds you're going to get for the year. So with that, we can come in and we can shoot 90 to 95% of those weeds, and then you come back and you water again, and 20-some days later, you'll get a second flush of weeds, and that's without cultivating. That's leaving it how it is. You come back in and you get that second flush, and now you can get, for that annual growth of weeds for that duration of crop, you can get into the 90 percentile of all the weeds that are going to grow. And so we are seeing that by using the laser weeder, throughout that year, that growth year, we are able to deter the weeds from even getting to the point that it impacts the crop. And now that we've had a full grow season, we are starting and we're anticipating great reports from onion growers and others that we are going to show with our farmers an increase in yield. This machine behind us is just our demo machine. It only has 8 lasers on it and does an 80-inch bed. But our actual machine that we sell is 20 feet wide and it's pulled behind a tractor. It's capable of doing anywhere from 0.3 miles an hour up to 1.8 miles an hour, depending on the weed density and the crop. Some real exciting things that Carbon Robotics is doing with their laser weeder is not only weeding, but we are also we are thinning certain crops, lettuce crops, carrots, or we could do one or the other or both at the same time, which is very cost effective. So with that, our programmers and our company is always on the new side, thinking forward and implementing new things to help the farmer go faster and have a more reliable piece of equipment.
All right, I'm Wesley Everman, Extension Weed Specialist and Professor in the Department of Crop and Soil Sciences at A&T State University. I do a lot of work with herbicide-resistant weeds, trying to manage these weeds, especially in soybeans and small grains. The John Deere See and Spray behind me, we can utilize this as a tool for managing our weeds, helping avoid competition, as well as finding combinations of residual and post-emergence herbicides for the most economic control, whether we have the resistance or we're just doing general weed control. When looking at a tool like the See and Spray specifically, right now it's available for use in corn, soybeans, and cotton. There are commercial units out there. This is just a test unit that different university and research groups have to do small plot research, look at different ways we can utilize this, and what we're trying to do is optimize this system for growers as it becomes adopted. Now, overall, the main goal with resistance management, managing weeds, we need to have an integrated approach, looking at all different methods and try to pull these together. We need to quit relying on one method, and right now we do a lot of reliance on herbicides. So any way we can pull in non-chemical weed control methods, we're going to improve our longevity of each of these different methods on their own.